Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Today we are completely dismantling, and I mean tearing down to the studs, one of the most enduring myths out there about cult leadership. We're going to look way past those sensational headlines to examine the actual blueprints. We're talking about the precise, calculated psychological architecture that these individuals use to build their empires of deception.
I mean, just think about every true crime documentary you've ever binge-watched, right? Why do we always assume cult leaders are just incredibly charismatic? We all have this kind of collective, almost instinctual assumption that magnetic personalities, good looks, or a silver tongue, that those are the root causes of how they gather and trap their followers. But come on, is it really just charm? Or is that charm just the bait on a much larger, much more dangerous hook?
Okay, let's dive into this. The comfortable, honestly kind of naive assumption is that it's all just about charisma and a sunny disposition, right? It's an easy way for us to explain away the unthinkable. But the dark reality we found in the source material? It's that these leaders are actually utilizing high-level social engineering. They're using precise interrogation tactics and, frankly, brutal rules of imperial control. So it's really not about being a people person at all. It's about systematic, absolute control.
Section 1. The True Crime Blueprint, following the pattern.
And this brilliantly illustrates something absolutely crucial. Cult leaders almost never invent their own methods. Seriously, they don't. Instead, they borrow heavily from this dark, entrenched history of criminal structures. Just look at how they operate with the exact same calculated blueprints. Think about it. A mafia boss demands absolute loyalty through this manufactured, totally isolated family dynamic. Meanwhile, a serial killer relies heavily on grooming and isolation to trap a victim. Well, the cult leader? They simply synthesize both of those approaches. They are literally applying this exact true crime playbook just to a whole congregation instead of a crime syndicate or a single victim.
Section 2. The science, the Mr. Big methodology. Now, this isn't some accidental manipulation. It is a chilling, entirely scientific calculation. It's literally designed to walk a victim into a trap they can't even see until the door locks right behind them. This Mr. Big methodology relies on 3 very deliberate steps. Step 1, build rapport. The leader becomes exactly what the subject needs: a friend, a savior, a confidant. Once that trust is absolutely cemented and their guards drop, bam, we hit step 2, use threats. The environment rapidly, instantly shifts from welcoming to hostile. And what that does is create a sudden, desperate dependency on the leader for safety, which of course forces step 3, total compliance. Completely disoriented and fearful, the subject willingly surrenders their agency just to survive.
Section 3. Breaking the subject. Behavioral analysis. Now, what's really fascinating here is that securing that initial compliance, that's just the beginning. The real heavy work is identity reconstruction. Using incredibly precise behavioral analysis, a leader pinpoints a victim's exact stress points to systematically dismantle their original identity. It's like, think of it as a controlled demolition of a person's psychological foundation. You have to completely clear out the old beliefs and ties before you can even think about building the new structure.
The ultimate goal is to, quote, isolate and break a subject's sense of personal worth. Just take a second, really think about the incredible gravity of that statement. Consider how your own sense of personal worth is constructed right now, today. It's built on your family relationships, right? Your career achievements, your deepest core beliefs. Now, I want you to imagine someone systematically isolating you from every single one of those pillars, breaking them down, one by one, day after day. How fragile might that foundation actually be if it were under a cold, calculated, scientific assault?
Section 4. The outcome, the illusion of divinity.
But here is the wild part. For all this meticulous planning and intense behavioral analysis, there's actually a massive, fatal flaw built right into this system. We really have to reframe how we view this power. It's not magic, it is just a psychological architecture. And, well, like any architecture, it's got load-bearing walls. The entire structure relies almost entirely on the illusion of divinity. That completely manufactured idea that the leader is somehow infallible and totally beyond human weakness. Because the power isn't actually real. So it requires this grand illusion to hold up the immense weight of the follower's belief. And that, naturally, brings us directly to the inevitable structural collapse.
Which leads us to ask the ultimate question, doesn't it? What happens to the psychological architecture when that illusion of divinity is punctured? What happens when a god bleeds?
the absolute moment that illusion of infallibility is pierced, whether that's by a simple mistake, a leaked secret, or just a glaring display of ordinary human weakness, those load-bearing walls just fail. The entire psychological architecture doesn't just, slowly erode over time. No, it rapidly, violently, and completely collapses in on itself.
So, we're going to leave you with this final, fairly provocative thought. If extreme control isn't some sort of dark magic, but merely a psychological architecture, literally just a series of calculated steps designed to bypass our natural defenses, then how secure are your own blueprints? In your everyday life, in the media you consume, or the leaders you choose to follow? Are you just looking at the charisma, or are you looking at the architecture?